Hello guys, I'm back and I'm trying to do new things with the camera because the sound wasn't actually perfect in the last video, so I hope this is much better now. Today, although I said I will bring you a wrap up for several months, I did actually spend a lot of money on books this month, and I have bought like one, two, three, four, like 6 books in the month of October. And I normally buy one or two, so that's why I don't do like big book hauls so much. But this month, with the Nobel Prize and stuff like that, I've been a little bit over the top with myself. I've been treating myself very well, I think. So we're going to talk about Nobel Prizes and dusty books. Ready? Oh, and before I say it, my name is Clara, and if you're new here, you can find me in all the places I've listed in the information box down below. And I hope you enjoy this video. This is the ink path, and we're going to do a really nice book haul. So this week it was no, not this week, the previous week. Well, during this month, the Nobel Prize of Literature of 2017 has been awarded to Kazuo Ishiguro, who is an author I always wanted to read, because one of my favorite films is actually The Remains of the Day, which is one of his books, and I know it's really like old movie at this point in time, but it's one of my mother's favorite films, and I love it too. And a spoiler, I have a lot of romantic kind of period drama movies and TV shows, so I love that one, and I cry a lot with that one. So the last time we watched it, I realized it was actually a book written by this author, Kazuo Ishiguro. So I decided to look for it, and I normally come across Ishiguro's books in a real weird way. I found them when I cannot buy them, and then I forgot about them, and then they come back again. So this time around, with the Nobel Prize, I couldn't resist myself. This is one limited, like a special edition in Spanish, a Spanish edition of The Remains of the Day, in a really nice hardback with a kind of dust jacket that is very similar to kind of not silky kind of way, but it's really smooth to the touch. And I have a book by this publisher. Before I had Helen Hanf book of 84 of Charing Cross Road, which I did a review of several months ago, and it's one of my favorite books. It's actually also in this kind of beautiful, very thin kind of classic edition, and I wanted to read this book like for ages, because as I told you before, I normally go for the film version of this story, because I never knew it was actually a book. So I want to compare it to the adaptation of the novel and see if I am transported to the setting as in the same way as with the movie. Also, one thing you don't know about me, sorry, I'm going to move this a little bit. I will show you the next book in a bit. Other book of Kazuo Ishiguro that I always wanted to pick up was Never Let Me Go. Again, this is a Spanish edition, in this case by a different publisher called Anagrama. It's a very clean, simple paperback edition that it's really easy to carry around in the tube and things like that. So it's quite comfy for me to carry around this one. This is with the novel the movie kind of cover, and I don't normally like movies covers in books, but I must say that although I haven't watched this film in particular because I prefer to read the book first, I love how the colors of this kind of cover film inspired uh, kind of used of the cover. The use of the cover here is actually phenomenal. I love kind of the kind of, I don't know, faded colors and stuff like that. Also, Keira Knightley and Carey Mulligan are two of my favorite actresses. And even though we don't have all the material or all the movies that they actually do or star in, I try to watch as much films of them as I can. And of course, they are here with Andrew Garfield, I think is his name, who is the male character in this story. I don't know much about this story. I know a lot of people love it, especially in the English kind of Booktober area. I remember maybe a few booktubers that I follow. I cannot remember the names, but I remember that they used to love this one, and I really want to read it. So this is for the Nobel Prize, but we're going to leave. I'm going to move backwards so I can leave this here. All right. So you see, these are like new because I needed to have them Castro books. But over here, I normally try to visit as much second-hand stores or bookstores that I can come across that are actually adapted for my wheelchairs to come in. And the other day I was walking by the Rastro, which is one of the biggest markets, second markets and market. It's one of the most famous markets in Madrid, and they actually sell, you know, bags and clothes and stuff. But like moving away from the market, I came across to this kind of quirky second-hand music and bookstore where everything was a little bit like over the place, that you needed to actually start a quest to be able to find certain CDs or certain books, and the people were really nice. So I moved directly to the book section, which was in a really tiny corner where all the dusty books were there, and I found several books that I didn't plan or planned on buying the first time. One of them was this Spanish edition of, and I need to check that out because I don't remember the original title. This book that I have here is actually Lord Arthur Saville's Crime and Other Stories. And this is actually an old-fashioned Spanish edition. And I really want to start reading Oscar Wilde books. And I know the most famous one is actually Dorian Gray portrait, and I have it. I have the Dorian Gray story, but I'm a little bit intimidated by Oscar Wilde, to be fair. I don't know if it's going to be too dense. I know I'm reading different kind of English classics, but I feel like if I start with a short story collection, probably in my language, I can see more or less the tone and then jump into the Dorian Gray portrait, and don't feel that the fear is overcoming my pleasure for his books. So this is a really short story about like the end of the 80s. I think it was like dated, and it's dusty and it's old, and sometimes you can see kind of like yellow pages and stuff, but it's in a real good condition, and I think it was for €1, so it was all mine. Then going back to films, I must say that I'm quite of a chicken when it comes to horror films, and it's really interesting that I'm pointing this out on Halloween or around Halloween time, because I don't normally watch so many horror movies or scary movies, as you can tell. But one of my favorites, and I discovered recently, is actually Misery. the movie. And I remember that although I tried to read Carrie before by Stephen King, I wasn't convinced with that one. And I saw the film of Misery and I adore it. So I always thought in the back of my head, like maybe I should give it a go with this one, as it's more like psychological thriller than paranormal. So I found this edition that is from actually the year I was born. This Spanish edition of Stephen King. It's kind of a kind of 80s by the cover and the colors, but it's actually from 1991, and I found it very cheap and really in a very good condition. I mean, you can see it's been read like several times, but it's not like tearing apart or anything, so you can actually read it. And now I'm going to talk to you about my most like special books of the whole of the complete book haul. But in order for me to do so, you need to know more about me. A few years ago, while I was doing my journalism degree, I participated in a convention about Africa, and I was in charge of I was part of a group that was in charge of um, a really serious topic and a really important matter, which is like female genital mutilation and what comes with it. This is not going to be preaching at any point, but I will go directly to the point and why it's important to this book haul. When I was doing that research, my group and I, came across this person, what is Didier, who is actually a kind of advocate and a professional. Like she created a foundation to help girls with this condition, girls who suffered this before, because she suffered this when she was younger, and she is also trying to explain to the communities who believe that FGM is a good thing. She is trying to explain to them and convince them to quit those practices because of the not only barbaric kind of act that it is per se, but of the problems that because of the problems that all these women will have later on related to their health, physically and mentally. So when I was doing the research, I found that she wrote several books, and I didn't think I was going to find them in Spanish, but I actually did. This one is the first, which is the. I need to check this again. Sorry. This is. We call it Amanecer en el Desierto, but I need to check the original title. Yes, as I thought. Desert Dawn. This is Desert Dawn. It's the first volume of her biography. She wrote Waris Thier wrote this with Janine de Heim. I'm probably saying it wrong, so I'm sorry. So in this story, she recalls and explains her role, because she started as she ran away from her house, from her home, and she ended up living in London, working, and then she became a famous model, and then she was able to talk about this topic, FGM, in the United Nations, and she became a public figure against it and pro education and pro trying to establish a kind of prevention against FGM through doctors, through education, through talking to the communities. And this is one of the volumes that she recalls and reviews her own life and explains how this journey started, and how she from Somalia to London and to ended up being this public figure so important. And I'm really happy that I could find this book in Spanish. Again, she wrote a second book. Sorry, you will have it here, which is the most famous, which is called The Desert Flower. The Desert Flower is like a second volume where she explains her life and how important is the FGM work that she's doing, like in order to prevent FGM from happening. Desert Flower is also important because it's the name of her foundation, the foundation that she's like she created and she's working with in order to stop this. And also the Desert Flower is the name of the movie that was made from these books in a few years ago. I was lucky enough to watch it in Spanish in a matter of luck actually, and this is how I realized that she was writing about her life and how her life has changed since she left Somalia to start her journey. So for me, the work of this woman is very important because I not only contact her and interview her for this project, but it's important because a few years ago I did a master in international relations, in international journalism, and my final essay, my final dissertation was actually regarding FGM in the Spanish media, and her work and her foundation in this case was like the starting point of my work. So for me, what is theory? It's very important. Again, I will read this, but in this time I will try to read both books and then make a special about my own impressions about the book, about what I discovered here. But I hope you don't mind my little speech. But these books for me have a lot of stories, so I needed to explain to you that before going further. So this is it. This is the whole book haul. I wanted to show you. There's a few days in October yet, so I cannot promise that I won't buy another book or another books in the meantime, but I hope I don't. Let's see. This is it for me, and I hope you love my picks. I know they're quite strange or different from the normal stuff I bring, but I couldn't resist myself, and I hope you can share with me your experiences if you have read any of the books I mentioned here, or if you want to share with me the books that you bought for yourself during this month, or even if you are not able to buy the books that you take from library as well. I love libraries, so although I don't have one near my place, I would love to see which ones are your picks from the library as well. Let me know in the comment section down below. Oh, don't forget, if you want to follow me or you want to know more about the channel, you can give me a like and you can subscribe so you don't miss any of the stuff that I'm going to do. By the way, if you subscribe, remember to click on the bell icon so YouTube actually notifies you when I'm posting a new video. And if you want to follow me elsewhere, I have a Facebook page, I have a Twitter account, and a Goodreads account and an Instagram account. Everything I will leave in the info box down below. I hope you had an amazing week, and this one is great too. See you next Friday. Bye.